Markets seem to be bouncing back from the low in March of this year, but some commentators still urge caution and warn other indicators such as interest rates and inflation rates can't be ignored. Let's catch up with RT's Dina Gusovsky in Washington studio for us this morning. Dina, what is in your Washington crystal ball about this then today? Doom or gloom, or indeed reasons to be cheerful? You know, we've seen some positive economic indicators over the past few months, but is it a case of don't get too optimistic too soon, do you think?
Well, you're right, and Wall Street seems to be pretty optimistic, but financial guru George Soros recently came out and said not so fast. He thinks there's going to be another dip in the stock market, and he says he doesn't really see how the U.S. economy can grow right now. Now, of course, he's not the only one with that opinion. Someone like Gerald Celente has been predicting this all along. He joins me today. Mr. Celente, thank you so much for speaking with me. So, George Soros, widely respected in the financial world, he's saying that things are going to get worse before they get better. Do you agree with this? And if so, what should we expect in the next few months?
Well, it's not going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to get worse, and then it's going to get worser, and then it's even going to get worse than that. And there's no reason why it should improve. And George Soros is stepping up because he understands what's going on. Where he is wrong, however, he's saying that it's a false pretense, that's his word, that the markets are self-correcting. And they are self-correcting. What's happened is the markets have been hijacked. They've been perverted by bankster investment banks, by corporate book cookers, by Wall Street con men. So the system is fine. It's just been perverted. And under this perversion, it's not going to get better. So we're going to look at more dollar dumping, and they're talking about it, of course, being a boon to U.S. exports with a cheaper dollar. That's only going to be marginal. The reality is that everyday people are going to be paying a lot more for everything that they buy that comes in from overseas.
So help us understand why some economic indicators would say that things are moving along, that they're moving up, like the stock market last week, where you have unemployment still at all-time highs. So talk about these two contradictions. How do we make sense of that?
Well, one contradiction, of course, is the banks. You know, sure, they're showing record profits. Guess what? They're borrowing for nothing, and then they're loaning it back at high rates to governments. They're borrowing from central banks, almost zero, and then loaning the money back. Voila, you think you could make money doing that? And then, of course, the corporations, there are some high profits coming in, but let's really look behind the numbers at most of them. And that is, they're cutting back production, they're cutting costs, they're cutting workforces, and then they're saying, hey, listen, our profits are better than everybody thought they were. So, yes, there are some bright lights, but most of it's profits at the very high cost of lowering production, cutting costs, and cutting jobs.
Well, one thing that they don't seem to be cutting salaries for the CEOs. Again, we hear about these bailouts, about these bonuses, people once again outraged. I mean, is this the case where they didn't learn from the first time? And how does this keep happening?
Well, it's not that they didn't learn. You know, Wall Street is hijacked Washington. Just look at who the players are. Under George Bush, you had Henry the Don Paulson, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, running the Treasury. And now you have Timothy Geithner, the former president of the New York Federal Reserve Bank, excuse me. And he has the keys to the Treasury. Look what went on. President Obama comes out and he tells the people, the people that are collecting Social Security, that there won't be a cost of living increase, so he's going to give everybody $250. It adds up to $13 billion out of the Treasury. They gave Goldman Sachs $13 billion just to cover their bad bets from AIG. Wall Street has hijacked Washington. I mean, how could anybody deny the facts? Look who's in the Obama team. They come from Citigroup. They come from Goldman Sachs. It's the banks. The banks are running the country. It's the greatest bank robbery, by the way, in American history. But the banks are doing the robbing.
Mr. Celente, I want to thank you again, as always, for your analysis. Kevin, you know, Mr. Celente says it's hard to have some change with the same exact people in power. He says that's what's happening right now on Wall Street and also here in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Dina, it does depend who you listen to, doesn't it? But signs not so good. We might not be out of the woods just yet, then, eh? OK, well, thanks for that. We'll come back to you throughout the night.